The Spartan II program was the first successful iteration of augmented super soldiers created by humanity in response to increasingly large-scale insurrectionist violence taking place in the outer colonies. In order to prevent a brutal civil war and to protect humanity, civilian scientist Catherine Halsey was tasked by UNSC ONI Section 3 to conduct a solution to the looming threat of a divided humanity. In response to the Carver findings, a report detailing instability in the outer colonies, as well as their own additional research, Halsey and ONI concluded that extreme measures would be necessary to stop the growing insurrection. Thus, the second iteration of the Spartan Project was born. The project had three primary goals. The first was to develop a group of elite soldiers that could smother an insurrection in its crib. The second was to avoid civilian casualties and avert civil war. The third was to reduce the cost in lives and resources of conducting military operations against insurrectionists. Dr. Halsey's vision for the program deviated from its predecessor in many regards, namely, the subjects being used. While the first program used enlisted soldiers as subjects, Halsey implemented an age restriction to 6 years old for these test subjects. These children were chosen based on certain genetic profiles and displayed exceptional mental and physical capabilities from their peers. Halsey argued that instilling military values and war strategy into younger subjects would ensure their loyalty from the start, and so the project was classified to the highest levels in order to conceal the controversial nature of its work. In addition to kidnapping children to serve as soldiers, physical augmentations would also be necessary to enable future Spartans to wear their advanced Mjolnir power armor. Without invasive and potentially crippling augmentations, the subjects would never be able to serve humanity in the capacity in which they were needed. Despite the risk and ethical concerns, ONI greenlit the project. 75 children were kidnapped by ONI operatives after being identified via the Outer Colonies vaccination program and replaced with flash clones in order to preserve the secrecy of the Spartan program. These clones would quickly die from the medical complications associated with speed cloning a human being, leaving the parents of these children devastated at their apparent loss, and none the wiser to the new lives their children were about to begin. The children were taken to the inner colony world of Reach to begin their training, conducted by Chief Petty Officer Franklin Mendez and an AI, Deja. Their family names were discarded in exchange for numbers, leading to names such as John 117 and Frederick 104. The recruits were subject to extreme hardships and sometimes even brutal training. While the children were taught to kill, they were also taught high-level subjects such as military strategy, advanced math and science, history, and more in order to make the Spartans effective in and out of battle. While his methods were sometimes questionable, Mendez came to take on a pseudo-father figure aspect for the child soldiers. He instilled in them honor, discipline, morality, and respect. He continued to train them until, at 14 years old, the Spartans came to the most difficult aspect of their training: the physical augmentations. 30 of the 75 original recruits died during the augmentation process, with 12 more being crippled by it. These 12 would go on to serve the UNSC and ONI, and some would even become rehabilitated. However, the 33 recruits that made it through would become humanity's greatest weapons and protectors. While originally intended to fight insurrectionists, the emergence of the alien empire known as the Covenant would force the Spartans to be diverted in order to stop the war of genocide being waged against humanity across the stars. The Covenant was a much more advanced and determined enemy than the human insurrectionists, but the Spartans, clad in their new Mjolnir armor, proved just as effective at fighting the alien hordes as they were at fighting humans. As such, the existence of the Spartans was made public knowledge, as despite their effectiveness and abilities to kill legions of Covenant soldiers, the combined might of the UNSC and the Spartan warriors they produced was not enough to stop the onslaught. Morale needed to be raised, and stories of Spartan heroics gave them a mythical status, even among their fellow service members. Even as Spartans were lauded as being invincible, they still experienced heavy casualties in the war against the Covenant. In order to maintain their demigod status among humanity, it was decided that all Spartan losses would be listed as missing in action or wounded in action, hiding the true cost of war from what was left of humanity. Spartans also received a similar status within the Covenant. Many rank-and-file members came to fear the very mention of Spartans. With some of the more warrior-centric cultures, like the Sangheli, coming to respect the Spartans as demons. By the end of the Human Covenant War in 2552, only 16 Spartan IIs remained. While some of them continued clandestine operations with Oni, all of them were offered to join the newly formed Spartan Operations Branch, along with the remaining Spartan IIIs, to train the next generation of super soldiers and manage the fledgling military branch as only Spartans could. Spartan Operations would go on to produce Spartan IV soldiers using experienced military operators, such as Jameson Locke and Edward Buck, as consenting recruits. Due to advancements in augmentation and Mjolnir technology, the new Spartans required less damaging physiological changes and could be produced in greater numbers than their Spartan II predecessors. The majority of the Spartan IIs served under Naval Special Weapons, a division of the UNSC with deep ties to Oni Section 3. Still holds true, even with the creation of the Spartan branch. Every Spartan graduated training as a petty officer second class, but many would rise to higher rankings. With the inception of the Spartan branch, graduates became Spartan in rank as well as in name, with Spartan holding the same level of authority as a first lieutenant. Spartan operators also changed little with the inception of the Spartan branch. They continued to operate in 3 to 5 man teams, though many would conduct solo operations. Each team is handpicked by the team leader, and these teams rarely split up after a mission. Spartan teams are known for longevity, as many Spartan IIs have served with the same teammates they've had since the start of their training. While the Spartans were public knowledge during the war, their true origins remained unknown until after the conflict. While Oni had meticulously crafted lies about them, such as each Spartan II being a veteran with decades of combat experience, some of the higher-ranking Spartan IVs were made aware of their predecessors' true stories, and rumors had begun circulating amidst UNSC forces that the old Spartans had more to them than meets the eye. In 2558, the true nature of the Spartan programs was revealed to the public by a journalist who leaked the information to the public network and provided testimony to the Unified Earth Government's Senate. This led to a deep distrust being fostered against Oni, the UNSC, and even the Spartans themselves, though, as of now, this has proven inconsequential. Thank you guys for listening and watching. If you have any recommendations you want to see, drop them in the comments down below, hit the like button, and subscribe if you feel the channel deserves it. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you again in the next one.